Hey guys, welcome back. It's Hog the Spike from the Trinisphere, where a Timmy, a Johnny, and yours truly battle over all things EDH. It's deck tech time, and today we're going to delve into a commander that's both near and dear to my heart, Glissa the Traitor. Shannon and I had previously traded the same copy of Glissa back and forth amongst ourselves, each time trying to brew something unique, and today we're going to revisit one of those lists. Remember that Glissa, as a traditional rock commander, can be built in numerous different ways, making her a great choice for your next commander night. We will specifically be focusing on how well she interacts with artifacts in today's deck tech. Before we get started, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to get notifications on future content and to help out our show moving forward. We're going to break this deck tech up into 8 categories, focusing on both land options and our meat and potato commander cards. That is, the cards that make this specifically a Glissa the Traitor deck at the end. To begin, however, we will talk about setting up a good baseline to make sure we have all the necessary pieces of a commander deck. So starting off, let's talk about our commander, Glissa the Traitor. She is a 3-mana 3/3, 1 black and 2 green. Yes, it's mana intensive, but don't worry, she is castable. For a legendary creature, zombie elf. She has First Strike and Deathtouch, an ability pairing that is unlike any other. It makes her an amazing attacker and an amazing defender. She kills any creature she comes into contact with. She also has whenever a creature an opponent controls is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you may return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. So she is also an insane recursion engine by herself. So starting off, let's talk about our mana. Normally we want to split the deck into 38 lands and 12 ramp options. Now we have some really good lands, but like we said before, we're going to break into some more of the utility and some more of the techie lands at the end of the video. So right now let's talk about our ramp options. We have Expedition Map, Sol Ring, Wayfarer's Bauble, Golgari Signet, Mind Stone, Traverse the Ulvenwald, Cultivate, Explosive Vegetation, Burnished Heart, Wood Elves, Oracle of Moldiah, and Solemn Simulacrum. Now you'll notice that most of those are artifacts, because again, this is an artifact deck, and a lot of them will be recurable with our commander. So your Mind Stone is ramping you, but later on in the game, if you need to sacrifice it and draw a card, you can then get it back with Glissa if an opponent's creature dies. The same is true with Solemn Simulacrum. When it dies, you're going to draw a card, and you can get it back with Glissa. So just being able to have recurable options in our ramp package is really solid. Moving on, we're going to talk about card advantage. We have Sylvan Library, Trading Post, Birthing Pod, Crucible of Worlds, Mind Stone, Chromatic Star, Life from the Loam, Garruk Primal Hunter, Moriok Replica, and Bolas's Citadel. So again, a lot of these are artifacts, and like we said before, Mind Stone fits into 2 categories. We've got it in our ramp and in our card advantage. Now, card advantage here, we're not specifically talking about drawing cards, we're just talking about getting an edge on our opponent. So cards like Crucible of Worlds, we can play a Strip Mine and use it to put our opponent 1 land down. Now we're ahead on resources, and then we can bring that Strip Mine back with Crucible of Worlds. So that's netting us card advantage. The same is true for Life from the Loam. We're going to be able to bring back lands. It doesn't have to be Strip Mine. We could be using a fetch land just to fix our mana, because again, Glissa the Traitor is quite mana intensive. But there is some good card draw here. Sylvan Library is obviously a premier spot. And then Birthing Pod. We're not talking about drawing cards there, but just to chain through your deck. Each converted mana cost, there's going to be specific creatures that perform a task that you want them to do. So we're going to have utility 2 drops, utility 3 drops, utility 4 drops that with a Birthing Pod in play can net us some very good card advantage. We also have targeted removal. We've got 6 options here, split between creature, artifact, and enchantment removal. And some of these options do all 3. We've got Abrupt Decay, Assassin's Trophy, Beast Within, Putrefy, Sylvok Replica, and Executioner's Capsule. Now, Executioner's Capsule and Glissa are 2 peas in a pod. Executioner's Capsule is 1 black for an artifact that has pay 1 and a black, tap, sacrifice Executioner's Capsule to destroy target non-black creature. So with Glissa in play, we can Doomblade a creature. That creature will die, it will trigger Glissa, and we can return Executioner's Capsule to our hand because sacrificing it is part of its cost. So this is just a repeatable Doomblade that we can use at any point in the game and even leave up as kind of a rattlesnake, as kind of a political, hey, don't attack me, you're going to lose your creature kind of move. The same is true for Sylvok Replica. It is a 3-mana artifact creature Shaman. It's a 1/3. None of that is truly relevant. Well, the artifact part is, but it has pay a green and sacrifice it to destroy target artifact or enchantment. So again, this is just naturalized but staple to an artifact, which makes it much better in our deck because we can recur it. We have 3 board wipes in the deck. It's always good to have some number of board wipes in case an opponent has an edge, has a lot of creatures. Maybe there's a token deck at the table. We want to make sure we can sweep up creatures and get a fresh start and maybe get some damage in with our commander. So our 3 board wipes, we have Black Sun Zenith, Damnation, and Oblivion Stone. Now, I really like Black Sun Zenith because even if you don't kill all the creatures, it's going to make a lot of the creatures permanently smaller. And Oblivion Stone is really good here, again, because it's an artifact. We can put a fate counter on our commander to make sure she survives and blow everything else up, or just use it to kill everything. Having 2 good recursion staples in our deck makes sure we can get the best pieces of our deck back at any time. So we've got Eternal Witness and Scrap Trawler. Both are creatures and both are 3 converted mana cost, which is really good again for our birthing pod chain, but both return things from our graveyard. Eternal Witness gets any card back, so it's a regrowth on a stick. And Scrap Trawler, whenever a Scrap Trawler or another artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, so if we're maybe potting out a Solemn, we get a Scrap Trawler trigger, we can bring back a Sylvok replica and then pot into a 5-drop. Or just if someone board wipes and we have a Scrap Trawler in play, we can get a bunch of smaller artifacts back to our hand. We have 2 flexible tutors. We have both Sidisi Undead Vizier, 3 black for a 4/6 legendary creature zombie Naga with Deathtouch. It has Exploit. When this creature enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a creature. So you can sacrifice herself to her own ability, or you could sacrifice any of your cheap creatures, any of your big creatures, because what she does when she sacrifices, when she exploits, is you search your library for a card, any card, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. So she is Demonic Tutor on a stick with the small downside of having to sacrifice a creature. So we have her, and also Finale of Devastation. Now this is a great one from War of the Spark. It's green X for sorcery. Search your library and or graveyard, which is very relevant, for a creature card with converted mana cost X or less and put it onto the battlefield. So it's a really good tutor. We can get any creature out of our deck at any time. It's awesome. But if X is 10 or more, creatures you control get +X and gain haste until end of turn. So it's almost like having Craterhoof in the deck and not having to actually put Craterhoof in, because Finale of Devastation is a really good outlet if we are, say, generating infinite mana, which of course there are a couple of ways to do so in this deck. So Finale of Devastation is a good mana sink. Even if we only have 1 creature in play and our opponents have no blocks, we can Finale of Devastation for 1,000,000, pump our creatures for 1,000,000, give them haste, and get that win. We have 1 piece of Graveyard Hate. It's always good to be able to hose Graveyard synergies because they are very popular in Commander. It is Nile Spellbomb, which is great. Nile Spellbomb is 1 colorless for an artifact that has tap, sacrifice Nile Spellbomb, exile all cards from target player's graveyard. Whenever Nile Spellbomb is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you may pay black if you do draw a card. So Glissa really benefits from having a bunch of small Exy style cards in the graveyard, because whenever a creature dies, which granted this is Commander, so it's going to happen a lot, we're going to be able to get repeated value from these small Exy cards. So Nile Spellbomb and Expedition Map and our Mind Stone and just kind of these cheap things that we can sacrifice and repeatedly get back for value are going to be really strong here. And finally, I always like to make sure that we have at least 1 win con, like it's just an oops, I win. And in this deck, it's split. It's either going to be Walking Ballista or Aetherflux Reservoir, because if we're generating infinite mana, Walking Ballista is almost always going to be our go-to. And it's also just very strong with Glissa, because if you were to have like a Grave Pact or something in play, you can just play your Walking Ballista or Hangerback Walker, for instance, for 0. It'll die, it'll trigger Grave Pact. Each opponent will have to sacrifice a creature, and then we can return the Walking Ballista to our hand with Glissa's abilities. So we could just do that to clear all of the creatures off the battlefield. But usually we're going to use Walking Ballista as a, oh, I have infinite mana, and now that equals infinite damage. On the flip side of that coin, we also have Aetherflux Reservoir, because we are playing the Bolas's Citadel, Aetherflux, and Sensei's Divining Top combo, wherein Bolas's Citadel lets you look at the top card of your library and cast it by paying life equal to its converted mana cost. So with both Bolas's Citadel and Aetherflux Reservoir in play, we can pay 1 life to put Sensei's Divining Top from the top of our library into play, gaining 1 life off of Aetherflux Reservoir because yes, we are casting a spell. Then we can activate top to put it back on top of our library and draw a card. And then we can pay 1 more life to put it back into play with Bolas' Citadel, but this time we're going to gain 2 life with Reservoir, and we repeat this process until we have enough life to shoot everybody at the table with Reservoir. So that's our second oops I win or dedicated hey this game is taking too long and we need to finish it win con. So jumping back in at the end here, we're going to talk about specific cards that are just really good in a Glissa deck, and obviously we're going to start with our artifacts here. So we've got 10 left. We've got Engineered Explosives for 2 mana because this is an X cost artifact. It has Sunburst. It comes into play with a charge counter for each color of mana used to pay its cost, and then you can pay 2 and sacrifice it to destroy each non-land permanent with converted mana cost equal to the number of charge counters on Engineered Explosives. So in our deck, we're usually going to be able to play it for 2, green into black, gives it 2 counters, and then we can pop it to repeatedly wrath all 2 CMC permanents from the battlefield. And every time we do that, we're usually going to get it back because there's probably going to be a creature that'll die in that wrath. So we can get back the Engineered Explosives with Glissa, so it's very good. But also because of the rules change, we can make colors outside of our color identity. So if we have Mana Confluence or City of Brass, we can put more mana of different colors into Engineered Explosives for 3 or for 4 and pop higher converted mana cost permanents. This card is very good. We've also got Chromatic Star, like we talked about before. It's just another really good, cheap, bobbly, eggsy artifact that's going to give us some kind of incremental value. Lightning Greaves is just a staple, but it's also really good to have protection on Glissa because once she hits the board and you start getting really good value from your artifacts, people are not going to take too kindly and they're going to want to remove her as quickly as possible. We have Nim Deathmantle. This is the first piece in our infinite mana combo. Now, it's a 2 mana artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has Intimidate and is a black zombie. Whenever a non-token creature is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, you may pay 4. If you do, return that card to the battlefield and attach Nim Deathmantle to it, and it has Equip for 4. So basically how this is going to work is we need Nim Deathmantle plus either Ashnod's Altar or Kruk Clan Ironworks. Ashnod's Altar lets you sacrifice a creature to add 2 colorless to your mana pool, and Kruk Clan Ironworks lets you sacrifice an artifact to add 2 colorless to your mana pool. If you're using Kruk Clan, we'll need Wormcoil Engine or Mirror Battlesphere. Now both of these creatures produce more than 1 token, so basically what we're going to do is sacrifice one of the creatures to one of our outlets to make enough mana that we'll be able to return the creature sacrificed with Nim Deathmantle to the battlefield, netting positive mana by sacrificing the tokens to our sacrifice outlet. Going through this loop, we'll be able to generate infinite mana and then pump that mana into one of our outlets, being either Finale of Devastation or Walking Ballista. Ashnod's Altar works with the 2 previously mentioned creatures, but it also works with 2 non-artifact creatures, Hornet Queen and Grave Titan. Again, both of these high-end creatures, albeit strong on their own, also produce more than 1 token, so they let us loop this infinite mana with those pieces. We've got Thornbite Staff. Everybody loves the ping party when you're with Glissa the Traitor. This just turns our commander into on-the-spot removal. It gives the creature the ability to deal 1 damage to a creature or player, and then whenever a creature is put into a graveyard from play, you untap the equipped creature. So we can tap Glissa to ping any creature, regardless of how big its toughness. You ping it for 1, it'll die because Glissa has Deathtouch. That creature will die and untap Glissa, and then we can repeatedly ping each creature on the battlefield and kill every single creature. Also, mind you, we'll be getting triggers to return artifacts from our graveyard to our hand. Nemesis Mask is another good way to lose friends. It's an equipment that makes all creatures able to block equipped creature do so. So normally we're going to leave Glissa on the defensive side, but if we want to get in and slap a Nemesis Mask on her, not only will we wrath our opponent's side of the board, but again, we're going to get all of the artifact value from our graveyard to our hand. I would be remiss if I wasn't going to throw a sword in this deck. It is an artifact deck, so we've chosen Sword of Feast and Famine. I figured being able to get in damage and play a bunch of artifacts in our main phase 1 and then untap all our lands after combat is going to be really good, so we can hold up our removal spells. Another combo we have in this deck that I wanted to talk about is Glissa and Mindslaver. This is one of the classic Glissa the Traitor combos. Mindslaver being a 6 mana legendary artifact with pay 4 and tap and sacrifice Mindslaver, you control target player's next turn. Okay, sure. We sacrifice Mindslaver, we take their turn, and then maybe their creature dies and we get Mindslaver back. Well, there's some tech. Forbidden Orchard is a land that when tapped gives an opponent a 1/1 colorless spirit. The land can tap for any color of mana, with the only downside being that they get the spirit. So what's going to happen here is that we'll Mindslaver them, take their turn, and then use the spirit that we've given them to attack into us. We'll block with Glissa with no fear because Glissa has first strike and Deathtouch, and this is only a measly 1/1. The 1/1 will die, triggering Glissa and bringing the Mindslaver back to our hand. So this combo won't win a 4-man pod, but if it's you and one other player and Mindslaver is the artifact you're going to want to tutor for, and it's going to close the game out right there on the spot. Talking about some good creatures to have in this deck, Hex Parasite has come in clutch in so many games. This card is very underrated and so strong. It does so many different things. It's a 1 colorless 1/1 insect with X and Phyrexian Black. So Phyrexian Black is you can either pay 1 black mana or 2 life. You remove up to X counters from target permanent. For each counter removed this way, Hex Parasite gets +1/+0. So it can remove charge counters, it can remove +1/+1 counters, it can remove loyalty counters from planeswalkers. Very, very good. This card has lots of very good applications. And if you've maybe nuked someone's planeswalker, maybe you've removed 5 counters from their planeswalker, now it's a 6/1 and you can crunch them for 6 damage as well on top of that. So definitely look at this one if you're going to build Glissa the Traitor. We've got both Verdurous Gearhulk and Nauseous Gearhulk in the deck. Verdurous Gearhulk is a 3 green 4/4 artifact construct with trample. When Verdurous Gearhulk enters the battlefield, distribute 4 +1/+1 counters among any number of target creatures you control. This card is an army in a can, effectively. We can make our whole board a little bit bigger, or one creature really big, or even Gearhulk itself, a 5 mana 8/8 trample if we have nothing else in play. But again, it's just a really good, strong artifact creature to bring back with Glissa. And then on the flip side, an even better construct is Nauseous Gearhulk. 4 black for 5/4 with Menace. When Nauseous Gearhulk enters the battlefield, you may destroy another target creature. If a creature is destroyed this way, you gain life equal to its toughness. So again, just like Executioner's Capsule, this is an Executioner's Capsule on a stick, effectively. We're not only killing a creature, but we're also gaining life. And if we sacrifice Nauseous Gearhulk to one of our sacrifice outlets with its ability on the stack, we can return the Gearhulk itself to our hand with Glissa's ability. Alright guys, we talked about a lot of the cards in the deck, we talked about the baseline, we talked about some of the meat and potatoes. I'd really like to hear what you guys think of the deck, and maybe if you have some of your own spicy tech, maybe some of your own things that I haven't touched on that you would like others to know more about. Make sure you leave comments and hit us up on both Twitter and Facebook to hear more about other future deck techs that are incoming and to interact with us on our previous deck techs. This is Hog signing off, and remember, if you're not first, you're last.
Wow, what a great video that was. My favorite part was the thing with the cards. If you enjoyed that video, you can support the Trinisphere by using our affiliate links when you go to buy cards from tcgplayer.com. Using our affiliate links means that TCG Player will donate a portion of their cut to us whenever you buy a card from them. All you need to do is follow that link to the site, and then you can go ahead and shop as normal and then check out. And everything will be handled by TCG Player. No need to enter a code or any of that nonsense. So you can help Juan keep churning out those budget deck lists, Hog overcome his rock addiction, and me, Shannon, keep well stocked with Red Bulls for these late night editing sessions. Many thanks from us at the Trinisphere. Catch you later.